chances that I missed. Some I held and slipped away. One street over where my memories exist. I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, that would have kept me from the one I had today.
All right, good morning. You are tuned into 1100 WSGI, and this is Lee Marie in for U-Turn Laverne on One Street Over, and I'm so glad you all have joined us. Before I introduce our guest, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, we are so grateful. Please just have your hands upon us during the show. Take it where you want it to go. Thank you for your wisdom, your discernment, your perfect will, your perfect timing, your perfect joy, your perfect peace. We love you, we praise you, we need you, we surrender to you in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. All right. We have in the house Mr. Terry Wilson. How you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Awesome.
How about yourself today?
Well, I'm just so happy that I got to interview you again because I know that those amount of times are becoming smaller and smaller.
Yes, they are. But you're the hard-hitting journalist, investigative reporter.
That's why you didn't want to miss it, right? You didn't want to send anybody else. You wanted to be here in person. Yeah, right, Lee Marie. Probably nobody else could come, right? All right, so I see you're so organized and you got a calendar right here, so I know there's a lot going on.
Yeah. This is similar to what I send out to all of our post members. Actually, I sent it out to about 185 people.
Ooh.
When these go out. And so, several different veteran activities and stuff this month, and community involvement, and looking at some new things to possibly start bringing to the community after first of the year. So just kind of keeping that under my hat is trying to...
Is that a teaser?
Huh?
Is that a teaser?
That's a teaser. Yeah.
You heard it here first on WSGI.
That's right. Lee Marie's done got that out of me this morning. Darn. But, no, there's a lot of things coming up, and so I always tell everybody, mark your calendar and stuff. But one of the main things is this coming Friday, on Friday morning at 8 a.m., we've got some veterans, and of course everyone's invited to come out and help with this, but they're going to set about 3,500 plus or minus flags up along the roadway at Springfield Memorial Gardens. And this is in remembrance of 9/11. And so they set one flag for each person, and of course out of the locations that happen. One of the things, and so anybody wants to help with that, please come out, 8 a.m. We've got several VFW and Legion members and other veterans that's going to be there. So just asking everyone, that's a lot of flags to set, and we're a bunch of old guys, and that bodies don't bend quite as good as they used to.
So bring the children.
Yeah.
This is a great thing. Actually, I'm going to repost this on the Robertson County Homeschool group page because this would be a perfect activity.
Yeah, it would be. And because we stop and think about it, it's been 22 years. And the majority of people can still remember what they were doing, where they were when this first happened. And, so one of the things that I put out to the post is asking people if on Monday, the 11th, take a moment of time and think about where you was at, what you were doing, what you thought, or how your family reacted at that time. And because it is definitely something to think about, just like December 7th when Pearl Harbor was attacked. So, those are things that we need to take a moment in time. And it doesn't have anything to do about religion. It doesn't have anything to do about what color, race, creed, any of that. It has to do with humanity.
Right. And take this opportunity, too, to study up on that and teach your children and your grandchildren, because those are perfect opportunities when those dates come around. Because I'm still amazed that, there's a lot of adults that don't understand all the holidays. A lot of adults don't understand even the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day.
Yeah.
So, just study up and teach someone younger than you, the importance of these.
We have a complete generation that doesn't even know that, what the skyline of New York looked like 23 years ago. And, that completely changed everything. My middle son, who's 28 now, and he had a big poster of the New York skyline with the trade towers. He was in the first grade. So the day this happened, I was in Nashville at one of the hotels in a conference room for a meeting that morning, and we had no clue what was going on. We started seeing all these stewardess and pilots coming back in, and it's like, what in the world's going on? And then they start televising it. And to see that happen, excuse me, as a veteran, it's like, am I too old to go sign up? What are we going to have to do now? Because this definitely was not an accident. You think about those things going through your mind. And it has completely changed the New York skyline since then. Like I said, he was first grade. The school system in Clarksville, bless their heart, they tried to keep things as normal for the kids as possible, even though everyone else kind of had an idea that, hey, all the troops, we know they're going to start packing because it's not going to be long before they'll be leaving. But we had Cub Scout roundup that night. So that's the same day that my middle son signed up into Scouts in the first grade. And remembering those things. So that's one of the things can remember. And he doesn't, I know he remembers some of it, but not a lot of the details and stuff, and which is good, but he understands. And to this day, he has learned more and more about it. So he does have a clue on that. But it is something. We have complete generations that have no unearthly idea of the things that has happened in our history. And it doesn't have anything to do with who we are, what we are, or anything else. It has to do with humanity. And that's what it all boils down to. But that's my milk crate to stand on. And
now, I think last year the sheriff's department did a little ceremony like at 8 a.m. before the offices opened, and then the veterans had a little one as well later on, like at 10 or 11, I thought. No?
no.
Is that not? Okay. Maybe I'm getting
I don't remember us having
Okay,
one.
so maybe it was just the sheriff's office?
I think the
Okay.
sheriff's office did one.
Okay.
And to remember on that fateful day, I mean, there were 3 attacks that were done that day. Not only did we have the Twin Towers, but then we also had the Pentagon and then UA Flight 93 that the passengers brought down in Pennsylvania. You know, if someone wants to know a hero or the ultimate sacrifice, those folks paid the ultimate sacrifice.
And then just think of all of those thousands of families that were affected, you know, because it's like almost like 3,000 people died. So all of those families, all of those friends,
Yeah.
you know, and so this time of the year too has to be so hard for all of them again,
Yeah.
you know, to relive it so I mean, be in prayer for all of those families.
And because it was much far reaching than just the families that was there. We had the first responders, we had National Guard that was going in, other troops that were sent in to be able to help with recovery efforts. One of the biggest, and to me, one of the biggest travesties to come out of that is with National Guard units that were sent in to assist with rescues or any of that, they were not on federal orders. And because they weren't on federal orders, it does not have it to where they are eligible for VA benefits. Now, a lot of these veterans that were actually at ground zero, being able to help with recovery efforts and all, they're developing the same lung problems and health problems that the other first responders have been experiencing in New York, with the one exception. They're kind of out in the code because it's not, their service there was not recognized. And I think that's one thing that would be great if Congress would go back, look at that, and change that during that time frame for those Guard members and reservists, for that to actually be considered under Title 10 orders as a national emergency.
Is somebody looking into that right now? I mean, to get someone to carry that?
Well, you know, we mention it every chance we get, and it seems like there's more other things that come to the forefront. We have the PAC Act. That's great. But they failed to explain a lot of it about the PAC Act. With the PAC Act, of course, all the letters that keep going out to the veterans concerning burn pits and all of that. Well, the only burn pits that they're even considering is from Desert Storm, Desert Shield, on up through the cessation of combat operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. Well, we had burn pits prior to 91. Well before Desert Storm, we had burn pits during my time frame. We had them during Vietnam. We had them during the Korean War. Anytime a unit's deployed and they're out in the middle of nowhere, they're going to have burn pits. So, I mean, there's exposures of that for any. Of course, on the Marine Corps side, we call them fleet units, but any active unit, combat unit, fleet units, there's a chance that they're going to be out to where they're going to have burn pits at times. Whether it's because of training and those are set up, or because it's where they've been sent for temporary duty. And so those things come into play because you do not have facilities. Now, granted, we may not have the things in the soil in some of those places that they had in Afghanistan, Iraq, and all the areas there, because, I mean, they used some pretty nasty stuff throughout the years at different times, mustard gas, all kinds of things like that. But still, there was that exposure. And so that's not open to Vietnam veterans. So that's only for Desert Storm and Desert Shield on Forest from about 91 on. And so those are things to, for folks to think about. And because we do get a lot of questions from our Vietnam guys asking about that. And so it does become a big it can be a big topic, but that's one of the things that, and then with the cancers that they've made presumptives now, most all that revolve from 91 on forward, because they're only looking at the Middle East. So we're looking at the Gulf War, Persian Gulf, those areas. So that's a big thing on the PAC Act. One of the things I can tell you about claim processing is the fact that with the PAC Act and with their deadline to file that they was really pushing, all we had to do was have an intent to file. And the claim did not have to be submitted. We just needed an intent to file in to secure a data claim before that deadline. And the only thing, and I don't think they clearly explained that deadline, because a lot of people thought, well, this is the only time I'm going to be able to put a claim in on this. No, what it did, it opened the door to where if they could go back to August 10th of 22, then that's what they would do. Other than that, it would be the date of claim, which is going to be the date of intent or the date the claim's filed.
Okay.
So that's some of the things that was not clearly laid out. But, we have the government involved. So, let's not be clear on things. That's seems, it's like trying to say, the intelligence side, that's kind of an oxymoron. We'll go government and intelligence. But so those are things that we've seen in the last few months. Questions that's really been popping up a lot is the things that did open up.
Right now, though, this would be a great time to do one of our breaks because we do have, I know, can you believe it? It's already 8:20.
Wow.
So we do have 4 commercial breaks to do.
Gotta pay the bills.
That's right, got to pay the bills.
Barry and Rebecca Richards are with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Now, what does that mean for you? That means you got a great team that's going to come to the table with you, whether you're buying or selling, or maybe you want to be mentored to be a realtor yourself. They would love to bring you in and make you part of the family, whether it be you're looking for a full-time change or just want to do something part-time. Now, if you're coming to the table as somebody that's selling, you've got to consider, get one chance to make a first impression. Barry's going to make sure you make that first impression absolutely perfectly. He is a Zillow certified photographer, licensed and insured drone pilot. We can do the 360-degree virtual reality home tours. We'll get you up on Realtor.com. People are going to see your property. They're going to want to take a second look. Rebecca, one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist, which illustrates she studies all the time, staying up to date on what she needs to know to properly represent you. You can find them at sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy.robertsoncounty.com, or just give Becky a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, and always tell them U-Turn sent you. Barry and Rebecca.
Okay, we are back in studio with Terry Wilson, Veterans Service Officer.
Yep.
Yes, got that. And
A little bit longer.
A little bit longer. Oh, don't make me cry. So anyways, he brought in the calendar. We were talking about 9/11. That's where we had left off. And I'm still trying to find out. I think that the sheriff's office might be doing an event in that morning because they usually do. But I was Googling around for Robertson County. The only thing I found for Robertson County, the Portland Chamber of Commerce is doing a Never Forget ceremony. And that looks like that is actually Thursday, September 7th at 4 p.m. at the Portland High School, 600 College Street. So that that was the only thing I could find online. So if you know of another 9/11 type of ceremony that is going on, either leading up to it or on 9/11, please let me know. You could put it in our comments, because right after this, I will be having an hour of the Go Show, which we do talk about a lot of calendar items on that. So I'd appreciate it if anybody found something to let me know. I know that, and you have this right here, that the Tennessee Firearms Association is meeting on 9/11 because they do meet the second Monday of every month. And what they're going to do is, before their regular program, they are going to have a little remembrance portion there for 9/11. So we know that it's at night, so people could probably still attend if the sheriff's office is doing something.
And it's a great way to support your Second Amendment rights.
Yes.
And, when we do the interviews at the high school for Boys State and Girls State, one of the questions we usually ask is, which amendment do they think is the most important one? And it's kind of a toss-up. We've had a lot of different things. And, of course, First Amendment is our freedom of speech. There is no separation of church and state. Doesn't exist.
Amen.
I've read it several times, and it's not there. Just says they won't establish one religion. You have to understand the whole purpose of it. But then we look at the Second Amendment. Well, the Second Amendment almost should have been the First Amendment, because without the Second Amendment, how can you protect your
Exactly.
freedom of speech and those things that all come into play? And a lot of folks say, well, militia. Well, militia was used a lot in those days, in the 1700s. And each young man or adult was expected to be able to help do their part. I have found that in my family history during the Revolutionary War, where they did their 3 months as part of the militia, and then went back home. They either stayed for another 3 or they went back home. And then later on, years down the road, I think it was 1835, is when I think it's my 6th grade grandfather finally got a pension from the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
And so that was pretty interesting, because he couldn't write, and so a pastor was the one who actually wrote his story down for him.
Oh my gosh.
So that was, and he's buried down in Marion County is where he's buried at, and where he was at Kings Mountain.
Oh wow.
So they were there, and I've had family that was, through the years in Ashland City. Buried over in Cheatham County. One of the ones over there, of course, was a Confederate soldier. And there's, when we look at that, and with the removal of history, if you don't learn your history and you don't know it, it's not what you can do a quick Google for and read. Sometimes you got to go to the books and actually read, and do the research, learn the true thing behind it.
And that's a good point, because a lot of kids are just so, and adults too, they just want to go on and they read the first little paragraph, and it's like, oh my goodness.
Not everything you see on Google or Gaggle, depending on how you look at it, is the sole truth. And so you have to dig for that. You have to research. It's like doing your family history. You gotta get in there and start digging. And it's amazing the things that you can find. And then you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, that is not what has been taught. So looking at those things, it's kind of like the term redneck. You know, we have whole generations that have no clue where the term redneck came from.
So tell the audience.
And check it out. I mean, West Virginia coal miners standing up for themselves wore red bandanas so they could identify themselves. And I've always tried to make sure that my boys always knew where certain things came from in history. So my middle son, again, I think it was his senior year in high school. He had just finished setting up, would have been his senior year. He just finished up helping set up for the military ball for the ROTC. And he was on his way to work. And a teacher stopped and asked him, says, "What are you, some kind of redneck?" Because he had a camouflage hat with him. And he stopped. He said, "Pop," he said, "I was very polite." I said, "You know, are you trying to insult me or compliment me?" And he said, teacher had kind of a deer caught in a headlight look. And he said, "So apparently you don't know where that actually comes from." So he proceeded to go ahead and explain to her.
To teach the teacher.
And he said, "So if you're associating me with that, then thank you very much. I really appreciate that and hope you have a nice day." And he said, as he walked away, she still had that deer caught in the headlight look. Because there's things that people don't know. You know, on how they associate things over the years. So to me, that's always tough. And it's kind of like with Arlington. You know, I wonder. You know, sometimes I wonder because we want to take all of our monuments down. We want to get rid of them. We want to just erase history. And so, what are we going to do with all the military and family that's buried out at Arlington? Do you know why I ask that? Because Arlington was Lee's estate.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So are we going to move all those thousands of veterans and their spouses or family that's there with them? So if we're going to erase history, look at the entire thing across the board. And looking at that and taking things in perspective, that if you're willing to give up one of your rights under the Constitution, which one do you want to give up? Because once you give one up, which one are you willing to give up after that? And after that?
Exactly.
But I guess that's the veteran side of me, and the patriotism side.
No, that's a very good point. If we lose our Second Amendment, we could lose anything else.
Yeah. So supporting organizations like the Tennessee Farm Association is good because it's actually grassroots. It's fighting here in the state of Tennessee. And when we're looking at things on guns, and yes, I know we've had way too many guns that's been found in school. We have to ask why. Are the kids not being properly taught at home? I remember when I went to school, they actually taught gun safety and brought 22s in elementary school. I grew up, guns in the household. We knew they weren't locked up. We knew that what we could touch and when not to. We understood the business end of the weapon. We understood what it was for. And it was helped sometimes to provide food. A lot of times it was.
Right.
But those are enjoyable days, thinking back of sitting underneath the tree in the fall time and the dew all around and listening to nothing but some birds and some squirrels barking. So that was a simpler time.
I think we have our next speaker for our Tennessee Firearms Association right here.
And it's because we have to take some responsibility. And so to me, it's the parents' responsibility to start teaching their kids. They can go to the NRA, learn about the Eddie Eagle program, start teaching their kids that. I started teaching my kids as soon as once they started walking. So they knew, took them out at an early age just to show them, okay, this is what the business is in. This is the damage it can cause. Their eyes get big. They kind of, working with them, it's like my son, I put him between me and shotgun, and so he could feel the power of that. And then that gallon jug of water, of when it blew up, it was like that could kill somebody. Yes, son. That is the business end.
Right.
Did you never point it? But then also going on to teach him that if you're at someone's house, I was very adamant about that if you're at one of the other kids' house and they pull out a gun, you go get an adult or you leave and let me know. I said, you do not stay there. It is not something to play with. They are not toys.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of things now to where a lot of times people don't want firearms in the house, and so they don't ever discuss it with their kids. And it's like I've reminded mine the whole time they were growing up is, the birth certificate, when they were younger, I said, you know what, that says I'm your parent. Doesn't say I'm your friend, I'm your buddy, I'm your pal, I'm your parent. We can look at being friend, buddy, and pal after you turn 18 and
Good point.
and you start getting grown. But up until then, I'm the parent. The rules here is my rules. And so, I'm not trying to tell people how to parent their kids, but sometimes
You have to.
who runs the house?
And that's a great point about, just teaching all the gun safety stuff because, now anytime, I'm somewhere and I see a gun, I will always think, make sure it's pointed in a safe direction, assume that it's loaded, even if it's not. There's certain things, if you're trained at a young age, those few things will run through your head every time you see. And so if you see somebody else pick it up and pointing it somewhere, you can say, hey, that could be loaded. Point it in a safe direction. If they're never around them and they don't know to respect them and what they can cause.
And I guess since the late 90s, early 2000, it has become to where our kids, because at times it hadn't been safe because of kidnappings and things like this, a video game becomes the babysitter, or they go do the video game. Well, next thing you know, they're 40 years old, they're living in the basement, and they're still playing video games.
Right. Shooting people.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
That sensitivity is gone because you get a do-over. You get an extra life.
And you get extra points for killing.
There's no cheat codes. And I think that's a big thing.
A huge problem. And I'm surprised. I know Laverne's been talking about it lately too because she teaches high school now.
Yeah.
And my husband and I are as well. And video games. I can't believe how many hours are spent, and that's just. Yeah.
When I was in high school, granted that was right after the time of the dinosaurs and stuff, but still, I don't know how many of the guys that drove trucks, including myself, had a gun rack in the back window. You had either the shotgun or your rifle in the back window. That's where it stayed. A lot of times you'd have a teacher come out and you say, oh, man, I got a new shotgun. Really? Next thing you know, you've got 6 high school teachers is out there checking out your new gun at lunchtime, or after school. Nobody got shot.
Right. Very good point. All right, this is a great time to do our second commercial. Boy, that's great, Terry.
All right.
I'm so happy I got to interview you this time. All right, let's hear from Miss Laverne.
Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center, your one stop for everything you need for summer, for your yard, for your garden, beautiful things for your porch and your home. Great gift ideas. If you've got a gift that you need, go into the greenhouse. You're going to find something alive and beautiful, and then go into the office, go into the gift shop, and there you're going to find handcrafted items, some really cool stuff from Miss Jane, and you're going to find Robertson County CBD. CBD produced from plants grown right here in Robertson County by Amy's brother Bill. Those plants were grown by him, and that is processed into the products you find there at Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. I swear by them for my arthritis problems, and it may really be a game changer for you as well. Everything you need, if you've got questions and things that you just want to run by Amy, give her a call at 615-384-3185, or just stop by and see her at 4920 Highway 161. They're at the Farmers Market every week as well, and they're 9 to 5 right now, Monday through Saturday, 1 to 4 on Sunday. Got a vegetable garden is going to be coming in anytime with fresh vegetables and produce. Go and see them today. Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. Tell them U-Turn sent you.
All right, we are back in studio with Veteran Service Officer Terry Wilson. And I know there's a ride coming up.
Yes, there is. On Saturday, the 23rd, September 23rd, the VFW Post 2120 here in Robertson County will be holding their annual Freedom Ride, Poker Run, and Silent Auction.
And can you give that date one more time?
That is September 23rd. It's on a Saturday. If I remember right, I'm thinking kickstands are up at 11:30, and so they'll have a nice ride laid out. They always do. And, you know, whether if you're still riding a bike, hey, that's great. And so definitely, ride your motorcycle. If you're riding a regular bike, that's fine. You may not be able to keep up with them, but, just pedal a little faster. Mm-hmm. If you want to drive your vehicle, that's fine too. So regardless of how you ride, come out and join them and help support the funds that they raise, that the VFW and the American Legion raise. Actually, the majority of all that goes back in to help either support our children and youth programs or into helping our veterans. So we try to make sure that we do those things, and I know the VFW does Buddy Poppies twice a year, so the next time they'll be doing that will be Veterans Day weekend. They will be at multiple places around the county, but the annual Freedom Ride, I've done that as well, and it's always a great time. And they usually have some really good stuff at the silent auction. And so if you don't come out and check it out and get your name on the list and start and just keep an eye on that and keep bidding if you really want it, that's can't complain if you don't get it. Mm-hmm. But that's going to be held at the Piggy Pit here in Springfield, over behind Hardee's, close to, I think everybody calls it Elmo's Mexican restaurant, so over close to them. And like I said, it's always been a great ride. It's a good fundraiser. And, it's just those things that come back to be able to help us do the things we do for veterans, not just at the post level, but because of the American Legion and the VFW, with their support has helped the VSO office, the Veteran Service Office, be able to do some things as well. So it helps us be able to keep some Kroger gift cards. Also allows us to be able to help in an emergency or time of need. And we have to weigh each one of those because we don't have a lot of funds there. It's not county funds as for tax dollars. It's not a state fund that we pull from. We don't have this big basket of money, big pot that we pull from. This is actually money that we raise to be able to do these things. And so that has been a tremendous help for us, and also a big support for the Veteran Service Office. And if there's any veterans out there that, are like wife saying, "Hey, you need to get out of the house. You need to go. I need some quiet time," or maybe you think, I've done enough on that honeydew list. I need to find something else to do so because if I get it all done, I'm going to work myself out of a job here. So I got to space this out. American Legion is open for membership to all veterans from December 7th, 1941, all the way current. And it's also Guard and Reserve.
Okay.
So there's no restricted dates on that, only for World War I. Mm-hmm. The VFW, of course, has to have either the campaign medal or had to be in a what's considered still a threat area like South Korea. So if we have members of our service that has served in South Korea is actually because all they had was a ceasefire. There was never a truce, was not a peace treaty signed. We just had a ceasefire. And so it's still considered a hot spot. So we always looking for people that want to give back. And one of the things that a lot of people tend to like and enjoy is they want to be able to honor their brothers and sisters, and so that's why we have an honor detail. And our honor detail is actually made up of Legion and VFW members. Okay. We have a simple uniform that we wear. We do white shirts, either long sleeve or short sleeve, depending on the time of year. Black pants, black shoes, and we have a black jacket that we get. And so we have the M1s that we use for our honor detail. We've done as simple as just go and fold and present the flag. We have done that plus taps. We've gone and just done taps. We've done just a rifle salute. So we're there to complement if there's a branch of service out there that is doing that service, we're there to complement them and to be able to help out. And so we try to do those things. We did between 35 and 40 funerals or details, or as we call them, missions, last year. Wow. Between July 1 and June 30th this year.
And they do such a good job.
They are. But we're older, and so, but it doesn't require someone to have to be able to go for every mission. As long as we have at least 3 to 4 people go for every mission, that can make it happen. Okay. A lot of people say, well, 21 gun salute. Well, it's 3 volleys. Mm-hmm. Right. And you have to need to have a minimum of 3 shooters for the 3 volleys. And so that's what we look at. And it's always great if we can have 7 shooters there. That's wonderful. Not everybody's schedule works out that way. We know that if there's funeral requests on a Saturday or Sunday, we know it's not going to be at the Veterans Cemetery. They don't do interments on the weekends. It's Monday through Friday. Mm-hmm. We do several out at Pegram because we do have veterans in this area that have made their arrangements to go to Pegram. And so that's one of the, and that's also a benefit there for a lot of our veterans, is the fact of the Middle Tennessee Veterans Cemetery that's at Pegram. Now, the National Cemetery on Gallatin Road, so this kind of leads me into that segment there, is set up to where they mainly are, it's really just cremations is all that they're putting there. They still have a few open plots, but they have already been allocated people from years back. And so, but they, from what I understand, they are adding more places to be able to place ashes there at the National Cemetery. But Veteran Cemetery out at Pegram is very beautiful. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of areas fill up that was just open ground just a few short years ago. And if someone wants to be able to do their pre-registration, we can actually do the paperwork at the Veteran Service Office. We need their DD-214 if they're married and their spouse is still here. If they bring their marriage certificate, we can go ahead and send a copy of all that, do the paperwork, and send it straight out to them. And they'll have their registration done. That takes care of their plot.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Can save them a lot of money. And then there's funeral homes that offer different things with plots for veterans and stuff. So I always tell everyone, if you haven't done that yet, there's never a bad time to make those arrangements. Well, there is. There's one bad time.
After.
It's when your family has to do it because you never told anybody what you wanted. And so they're trying to figure out what your wishes are. And so one way to make sure things happen the way you want is plan it yourself.
And this would be a good time to give your phone number for your office.
And the number at the office is 615-382-6506. That's 615-382-6506. And talk with Gwen, Abigail, Scott. They will get you an appointment set up to come in. We do appointments on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we do I call it Wild Walk-In Wednesdays because it can get wild and there can be a line. But you can only go from person to person so quickly because you got to make sure we get the right amount of information initially to start with.
So it's always better to make an appointment if you can.
It is. Yeah. It is. It really is. And sometimes we could be scheduling 2 or 3 weeks out. But there's always, at times, depending on who gets opened up first. So that's the big thing. I am not taking new clients at this time. I'm helping Scott and Abigail and Gwen with getting a handle on all the duties,
It's time to go to the
the other things they have to do that people don't see, the reports and
So just to clarify, he's not personally taking more new clients, but the office, of course, is.
Oh yes.
I clarify because sometimes people hear things and they.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't panic. We have assembled the best team in the Veteran Service Office.
Nice.
And, we've brought them in under ours, and it has been great. They're very knowledgeable and experienced, so I know they're all going to do a great job.
Excellent. All right. We need to hear about Cumberland Connect because
let's pay
time
some
is
more bills.
fleeting away.
Robertson County, it is time to join the Gig Club. Get Cumberland Connect. If you are a Cumberland Electric customer, well, good news. You can join me in the Gig Club, and you can have a full gig for just $80, high-speed internet that will blow you away. If you're like me and you've had terrible internet service for far too long, well, it's time to get in the Gig Club. Now, what you do is you go to cumberlandconnect.org, put in your zip code, cumberlandconnect.org, and it'll tell you if they're in your neighborhood already or when they're going to be in your neighborhood. You can also just call them and ask the question, 1-800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362. And if you're somebody in these areas, if you're a Cumberland Electric customer and you're having some financial struggles, well, because internet is now a utility, there's an affordable connectivity program providing qualifying households with monthly credit to help pay for internet services. And if you're eligible, you could receive a credit of up to $30 per month toward broadband services. And they have packages starting at, you guessed it, $30 per month. Be a part of the Gig Club or just get into high-speed internet with Cumberland Connect. CumberlandConnect.org. Tell them U-Turn sent you.
All right, we're back in studio with Terry Wilson. Just have a little bit of time left. I did want you to cover auxiliary unit because tell them how they can qualify for that. And
We do have an auxiliary with the American Legion, and we do have one at Post 45. It's the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 45, and it is not the Ladies Auxiliary anymore. That changed a couple of years ago, and because we do have a lot more women that are serving, and the male counterpart is not. So that opens the door for the man to be a member of the auxiliary. And but if they have veteran in their family, dad, grandpa, great-grandpa, and we're able to verify their military service, then they can also be a member of the Sons of the American Legion. So there's actually 4 segments of the American Legion. And, of course, the auxiliary really is its own entity. But we have the American Legion itself, and we have the American Legion Riders, and we have the Sons of the American Legion. So if you're a motorcycle enthusiast and you're not eligible for the Legion, but you are for the Sons, you can be a member of the Sons, which means then you can be a member of the Riders. Or if you're a member of the auxiliary, you can be a member of the Riders. We have a great group. They love to get out and ride. And we do have some lady riders too. So it is really good. And it gives a way to where a lot of times the spouse can come in and say, you know what, I want to be able to help do some things as well too. My personal philosophy, I don't care if you're a member or not, but hey, be a member, and that way when they're doing those things, you're part of a group. Now, granted, right now all we have are ladies in our auxiliary, because from years past it was a ladies auxiliary, but it is the ladies has been dropped off of us. So guys, if you're eligible for the auxiliary, hey, great, come on in. They'll love to have you. We have a very diversified age group within them. They meet on the second Tuesday of the month.
So the day after TFA.
Yep. So on the 12th, they'll be meeting at 6 o'clock at the American Legion Post in Greenbrier. And if you don't know where the American Legion Post is in Greenbrier, it's really hard to find, because after you go past, trying to think, is that Centerstone? Big church right there.
Oh, the Calvary Baptist?
Huh?
The Calvary?
Yeah, Calvary Baptist. After you go past Calvary Baptist, you're going to see the lot where the guy's got his trailer stored, and then Jeff DeLong's appliance shop. We're right there beside Jeff DeLong's appliance shop. If you're coming from Springfield towards Greenbrier, it's on the right-hand side of the road. It's a gray block building. No, we don't have any windows, but we also like some of the artifacts and things that we have, because we want to keep those, because that's history. And there's a big flagpole out front. There's a sign out front facing each way. It says American Legion Post 45. You know, a lot of people don't even know we're there. We've been there for 20 years. I've been there over 20 years.
All my friends know, because for one thing, they all go to the Monday night TFA.
Yep. And so we have a great time. And, you know, speaking of great times, I mean, we've got a family-friendly function. It's going to be starting on the first Saturday of October. The first Saturday of October, I'm thinking that's October 8th, I think.
I'll look it up.
And we'll go through the Saturday, which is, I believe, the 25th, November 25th, which is the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
So October 7th is a Saturday.
October 7th, okay. 7th through the 25th?
Yes.
Okay. So October 7th to November the 25th is when our turkey shoot will be going. We go from 8 to 12 each Saturday. We go till 12 o'clock. We can, but if we run out of shooters before then, we can stop early. If we have bad weather, that can also close us to end early as well too.
Sometimes.
Yeah, because rain and paper targets don't go well together. But it is a great time. It comes out. Those funds go back after the expenses are taken care of for the meet and all. Those funds help go back in for the operation of the post, and then also in for our children and youth programs, which our biggest one is Boys State and Girls State. We try to pay for 2 boys and 2 girls each year. We had 2 girls selected this year, and both of them backed out.
Oh,
Right as we got right at time for it. And fortunately, the school had time to be able to send us the money back so we could put it back into the fund for that for the coming year. And it's, Boys State, Girls State, that's open to homeschoolers as well, too. You have to be going from junior to senior year. And, it's eligible. They're eligible for it as well, too. So if you're a homeschooler and you're a junior this year, reach out to us and talk to us. We'd be more than happy to come and talk to your program.
Oh, all right. There you go.
And then there's another program that we're looking at starting this year at the Post. It's been one that's going on for years, but it's an oratorical. So they get to stand at, I can't remember the age group right off the top of my head on that. But it gives them a chance to get up and speak in front of people. They'll have 5 topics. All of them will be on different amendments of the Constitution.
Nice.
So there'll be 5 different amendments. They will pick 2 that they will give their first talk on. Well, when they do their second one, they know it's one of 5, but they don't know which one it's going to be.
Gotcha.
So they have to, and they don't find out until just before they come in to be able to give the talk.
Nice.
And so the judges don't all sit together. Judges are scattered throughout the attendance, so that we do everything try to do according to the national laws. Once after post level, it goes to district. Winner at district goes to state. Winner at state then can go to national. If they win national, all in all, bottom line is, if someone was to go all the way through and win national, they could end up with around $30,000 in
my
scholarship
goodness.
money.
All right, we have to have you come out to chat and talk about this. Stephen actually is teaching a public speaking class this year.
Yeah.
Anyways, I can't believe we have a minute. I still have an ad. So do you have anything that
Let me make this.
okay?
I'll make this quick.
Yes.
Our newest team member in the office is Abigail Ware. Abigail's formerly with the Cheatham County Veteran Service Office. So Abigail is very knowledgeable, and we've just had to get her accreditations redone. So we're in the process of getting those taken care of. So if you have a chance to come in, Abigail's actually going to be taking over a lot of my claims.
Ah, very nice.
And so she'll be taking over a lot of my folks and is already starting to handle those. And our office is located at 505 South Brown Street here in Springfield. That's the county office building where you get your car tags. Come in past your car tags, turn like you're going down to pay your property taxes. And we're on the left. So
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We have one more commercial. We do need to hear about Veterans Motorplex, but we've been listening to Terry Wilson, Veteran Service Officer, and we totally appreciate you being here, and so much great information. So make sure y'all share this video because there's a lot of great information.
Yeah.
Thanks again. See you next time.
It's time to go to the races here in Robertson County. If you want to have a great time with your family, get out to Veterans Motorplex. This is the old Highland Rim Speedway you're familiar with at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. Jerry wants to invite you and your entire family out. He's even got a free pass for you. If you find one of these Let's Talk Trash magazines that they put out at the end of the school year, you can still find them around town, but that back page is a free pass to get up to 6 kids and 2 adults in for free anytime during the entire 2020 2023 race season. Bring your family out. Gates open at 4. Racing starts up at 6, and you will have so much fun. Come hungry. They got a great concession stand. They have all kinds of events and things for the kids throughout the race season. Follow them on Facebook at Highland Rim Speedway, and that way you can stay up to date on everything that's going on at Veterans Motorplex. A great way to spend your Saturday evening with your kids, with your family, with your friends through the end of October. Get to the races today. Saturday is race day, and when you go out, tell them U-Turn sent you. Corbin Creek Greenhouse, Gibson Gardening Center, your one stop for everything you need for summer, for your yard, for your garden, beautiful things for your porch and your home. Great gift ideas. If you've got a gift that you need, go into the greenhouse. You're going to find something alive and beautiful, and then go into the office, go into the gift shop, and there you're going to find handcrafted items, some really cool stuff from Miss Jane, and you're going to find Robertson County CBD. CBD produced from plant.
All right. That was Terry Wilson with the Veteran Service Office, and I'm so glad y'all could hear that. Coming up next is going to be the Go Show, so make sure you stay tuned.
One street over there's a life I could have known. One beyond my wildest dreams.